This question has honestly stumped me up until very recently when my students would ask me, how do I get my tunes faster? How do I develop speed? Sure, I could say something like, well, I've been playing for 25 years and it's just easy for me. It just builds up over time naturally. That may be true in some regards, but that's not exactly the most helpful advice to give. And there is actually a way, there's a method for you that you can use, a strategy that you can use to develop your tunes and make them faster. And so that is what I'm going to share with you today in this video. I've come up with a formula that helps you put all this into practice, and I just really couldn't wait to share this formula with you. So we're going to get right into this. I'm going to help you make a game plan to really develop your reels, your jigs, and your polkas and get those up to speed. And before we get too far into the video, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you're the first to know every time I post a new Irish fiddle tip video. And if we're just meeting, my name is Hannah Harris and I teach my students how to develop the real feel for Irish fiddling, and part of that has to do with speed. So our formula that we're going to look at is nice and simple. It is strength plus ease plus structure equals speed. Let's look at strength first. So this kind of makes a lot of sense because both with strength and speed, we're looking at trying to increase our stamina. So it naturally is a process of strengthening this skill. As Irish fiddlers, we're sometimes playing 3 to 4 hour sessions with a lot of fast-paced dance tunes. So you need to have some strength built up in your fingers. We'll get to some specific exercises shortly, but here's where it's important not to take this the wrong way. We're not looking to build strength to grip the fiddle tighter or play harder or just play with a lot more effort and strain involved. We're actually building strength so we can play lightly. And by playing lightly, we're inviting more ease into our playing, which brings us to the second part of the formula. Here's where it all started to click together for me. I was reading this book, Effortless Mastery by Kenny Werner, and he talks about comparing musicians who sit down to a piano, and there are non-musicians and pro musicians alike. And there's really not a whole lot of difference between the speed at which the non-musicians are able to play and the pro musicians. There's not a whole lot of difference with just like how fast your fingers move. The difference is the pro musicians know where to put their fingers to produce the sound they want. Pretty mind-blowing for me, at least. And that's exactly what we need to do here. We need to get more comfortable with where we're dropping our fingers on the fiddle. To put this into first-hand experience, I recently borrowed a BC button accordion from a friend of mine and have been working on learning how to play it. I know the tunes really well and can play them at a professional level on my fiddle, but when it comes to the accordion, I'm still not exactly sure which button to press and when to push or pull the bellows. I'm not confident in where those notes land in that particular context yet, even though I'm already very familiar with the tune. So if you have access to a secondary instrument, try playing a tune that you know really, really well on your primary instrument, but not so much on the secondary, and you'll see what I mean. So now that we know that developing speed is about getting really comfortable and familiar with both the tune and your instrument, how should you go about practicing it? And that is where the third element comes in, structure. While building both strength and ease are both relatively simple concepts to think about, we need to have some sort of consistent pattern to come back to in order to actually see results over time. For some, this could look like practicing scales, so getting familiar with all of the different keys that you can play in Irish music, as well as all of the whole and half steps where your fingers should be on the instrument. So let's just say I'm playing a D major tune. Does my finger need to be, my second finger, does it need to be a C natural or does it need to be a C sharp? Knowing the key, which in this case for D major would be C sharp, and knowing that you need to put your finger up here as opposed to down here, is going to be really helpful. And if you just have that in your subconscious as you're playing the tune, you don't even need to think about it. You just know, I'm in D major. These are the different patterns that my fingers need to be on the instrument. For others, maybe you don't use scales, but you decide that you're going to just play the same sets of tunes over and over again for a while to develop really good familiarity with that set and those tunes and build speed from there. For building strength, you can use actual hand strengthening tools. This here is a Gripmaster, but there's also the TheraBand Hand X Trainer, which goes in this direction. The Gripmaster goes in this direction. And you can use that to build grip strength and hand strength, finger strength, a little bit of wrist strength as well. So you can look at external tools to help you with that. And I should also reiterate here, remember, we're looking for light, quick, easy movements. We're not trying to really grip the Gripmaster. We're using it to build strength so that we can move nice and lightly on the fiddle. Maybe you need to take the speed practice a level further and isolate the movement so that you are only focused on speed. I'm going to do a little bit of a metaphor here. My students know I love metaphors. So to think of it like strength training, where you have certain exercises in the gym where you're working multiple muscle groups. So maybe you have an exercise that targets both the quads and the glutes at the same time. And then you have these other exercises where you're just doing your biceps in a shortened position. And that's all well and good, and we can directly translate that over to practicing our speed. So there are so many different elements that go into playing the fiddle. Let's just go ahead and we'll put intonation to the side, we'll put playing with beautiful tone to the side, we'll put phrasing to the side for a second, and just focus on speed. How fast can you play the tune? Don't worry about how it sounds, just can you do it? Just see how fast your fingers can fly across the fingerboard. You can use the bow too, but I'm just doing this here so I can talk to you while I'm doing this at the same time. But if you can move your fingers really fast, if you can see, oh yeah, look, my fingers are doing this really, really fast thing here, then you're already halfway there. Let's put the fiddle down for a second and just wiggle your fingers. Can you match me? Can you wiggle your fingers as fast as I'm wiggling them? If so, you can play reels up to speed. You have the capability. The final exercise that I want to encourage you to try is using a metronome to give you a bit of structure, which will leave you the space to work on speed, because we don't really want to sacrifice rhythm here. We want to keep that meter and that rhythm pretty strong throughout as we're building speed, because you want to make sure that you can do both of them together. But it's nice if you can, again, isolate that movement. You can outsource this roll to the metronome. So the metronome is going to keep you steady. It's going to keep you in the same meter, the same time, and then you are free to play around with the speed within that. You can also use the metronome to push the speed a little bit, get yourself outside of your comfort zone bit by bit each day that you come to the practice room. Let these exercises ease you into a regular routine of working on your speed. It is a long haul, and it's not going to happen overnight where you're playing every single tune that you're working on up to the exact speed that you want to, but I promise you, if you're consistent with it, you're going to start to develop that muscle memory, the familiarity, and the confidence to get the results you want in your playing. If building speed is an area that you would like further support from me in, then I highly recommend that you check out my Irish Fiddle Studio membership. You get access to over 100 pre-recorded tutorials at fast, slow, and medium pace, as well as a phrase-by-phrase breakdown that allows you to learn the tune by ear, which in turn helps you build that deep familiarity with the tune as well. And I don't just leave you hanging to learn a bunch of tunes on your own. You also get my eyes and input on your fiddling in a private video chat channel with me, as well as access to group lessons where you can get comfortable playing in front of a group of supportive and encouraging fellow fiddlers who are ranging from about the intermediate to semi-professional level. You can click the link in the description of this video to give the studio a try for 2 weeks absolutely free of charge. If you liked this video, please do hit that like button so that I can reach and serve more aspiring Irish fiddlers out there in the world. You may also like this video where I cover 7 different areas that you need to focus on in order to play Irish fiddle well. And as always, my friend, I appreciate you and your dedication to improving your Irish fiddle skills. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.